Hello, everyone.
Can't even look at the camera because we got brand new lights.
Yep. Major shout out to my best friend, Chris Gorman.
Friend?
Yep. My best friend, Chris Gorman. He got us
What am I?
2 LED lights. You're my girlfriend. 2 LED lights, and it changed up our
whole setup because
changed up our whole setup. Yeah.
I guess our lighting sucked. So
yeah, I guess so.
I got a nice package and I was a little confused because it said his name but our address on it.
You're right.
And I was like, oh my God, he's moving in. Because I was like, he's already getting his stuff sent
He's sending
to our
over
place.
his stuff. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, our neighbors just moved out the other day, which is very sad.
I know. They were very nice.
Yeah, they were very nice, and it's sad to see them go. But it's also been pretty nice to have a pretty much empty house to ourselves.
Yeah. But it's also kind of creepy though too, because I feel like I hear
creepy.
like noises but nobody's down there, and then I'm like, oh my God, there's a demon down there, you know?
Right. Yeah, I was thinking about that last night. I heard a couple noises, and I chalked it up to it being the downstairs neighbors, and then I realized,
and then you're like,
nope,
they're gone.
They're gone.
You know, this house is really old. I looked it up, and I think it was built in like 1890 or
Really?
something. Yeah, this house is that we're living in is super old, and we're in the second story of the house. So it's like we have 2 different entrances. Like this was a single family home, but they converted it to apartments.
Yeah.
Which is surprisingly what a lot of people do in Massachusetts.
It's very common. Even 3-story houses too.
Yeah, or like basement too. Like my brother who lived in New York City, they like had a basement, the first floor, and then the second floor. So it was like a 3-story house, and like they all rented rooms out to college kids.
Right, yeah.
So kind of a segue into like life on the East Coast.
Yeah,
Today
that is a
we're
segue.
going to talk about how we got here.
Quick
right?
Again, I want to say major shout out to Chris again.
Oh my gosh.
We love
Thanks,
you,
Christopher.
and thank you so much.
I would look at the camera, but the lights are actually very bright. So
Yeah.
I can't look into the camera without my eyes being all messed with.
Yeah, I know. I can like barely see because
So now you
it's
have to look
LED
at
lights
me.
too. Yeah, I guess so.
I'm
I
a
guess I
little
do.
offended that you didn't call me your best friend.
Well, you are my best friend, but you're also
that's all I wanted to
you're
hear.
classified as my girlfriend too.
Yes, but I'm also your best friend.
Right. Yeah, you're true.
I know, but if Courtney's listening, she's going to be like, I'm your best friend. She's both of our best friends.
That's also true. Well, to circle it back around, talking about, life in Massachusetts, we wanted to talk today about how we got to Massachusetts.
I don't know. Sorry, my ADHD. I don't know how you're looking at the camera. Like the lights are so bright, but they're super nice. But it's like I can't look at the camera. So I'm sorry, guys. I just can't.
I'm a trained stage actor.
You know what?
So
you're right.
I
sorry.
forever live with like a little, white dot in my line of sight. But
I don't think that's normal.
I'm always, completely able to look directly into the lights.
Okay. Anyways, so I guess this is like kind of personal, but basically I was applying to grad school after college, my undergrad, because I didn't really know what I wanted to do with my life, and I had this college degree. From a school that should not be named, even though I'm wearing the sweatshirt, but I didn't go there. I went to CSUN, Cal State University, Northridge. But I was applying to grad school after undergrad, and I've always wanted to live on the East Coast. That's just something I've always wanted. I went to the East Coast when I was a teenager, and I spent 2 summers there in Massachusetts and Connecticut, and I just loved it. And I was like, this is where I'm gonna go. Like, I'm going to college there. And it didn't really end up working that way just because of life things, and I'm glad that I ended up where I was for my undergrad, because everything ended up working out for the best, just like in my life. In hindsight, right? Hindsight's always 20/20 when you look back at your life and you're like, oh wait, this actually worked out for the best.
Right.
But so John and I are in this relationship, and it's like I don't know, 4 or 5 years in, and his dad was sick, my dad was sick, and it was just kind of like, where are we going to go from here? Not
Right.
necessarily at a crossroads in our relationship, but it was just kind of like we both had like these external things kind of pulling us apart. And I don't want to say I applied to grad school on a whim, but I kind of did, just because I was like, I'll just do it. Like, it's fine. I'm not going to get in. Like, I'm just going to do it. Whatever. And I did. And I think a lot of people were worried, like especially my mom and her friends were like, you're not going to go to grad school because of your boyfriend. Like, you're going to stay with him and like not pursue your dreams. But the reality of our situation was, and I hope you don't mind me saying this, was I was just kind of like, hey, I'm applying to grad school. You can come if you want, but I'm going. kind of thing.
In so many words, it was pretty much that. But I'm ride or die.
Yeah, he's my ride or die. You are my ride or die.
Of course I am.
I love you.
I love you too.
And sorry, this got very personal, but I felt like I just had to give context for why we're here, because it's not like we moved here amidst a global pandemic, like on a whim. We were just like, I want to move to Massachusetts. Like it's kind of like we're here for a reason. And
it's funny, this was supposed to happen actually exactly 1 year ago, but because of we just
circumstances,
because of life circumstances, and also the same things that were our same personal not problems, but the stuff that both of us had to deal with personally were kind of pulling us apart. And I think we both just weren't ready last year.
Yeah. And again, like I said, hindsight is 2020. Like, I feel like looking back, like I'm so glad that it went the way it did. Because I feel like sometimes when you're in a situation and you feel, woe is me, like I can't believe this is happening to me. What did I do to deserve this kind of thing? It's almost like a blessing in disguise, even though I know it's awful to say that, because we've all been through those times where you are going through it and you're just like, what am I doing to deserve this? Like, I'm sorry, I'm being very vague right now, and I'm usually not very vague about my situation. We can go about my whole life story in another podcast.
We can do that at a later podcast.
But basically, I deferred my acceptance to graduate school, and it worked out for the best, like truly for both of our situations.
Even though it ended up being like, I know when you deferred, we had no idea. It was, and we had no idea that we're gonna end up moving in the middle of a global pandemic as well. So it wasn't
coronavirus.
Yeah, it wasn't like, hey, let's get out of here.
Yeah.
It was.
It's not like we were like, oh my God, July, middle of the pandemic, let's go,
Yeah,
like
let's hightail it out of here.
It wasn't, like, there was just a lot of kind of external situations. And I don't want to, like, going back to what we were saying, I don't want it to sound like we were like on the verge of breaking up, and that's what I meant by things were pulling us apart. I just meant like actual, like, situation wise was like we're doing long distance because we had to, because there were things, but it's not like we were broken. Yeah,
you were tied to home and I was tied to my home.
Exactly. That was a better way to put it, rather than like pulling us apart. But I guess like our whole life was like what we had planned basically is why you don't make plans, because a lot of the times that they don't end up the way that you want them to. So basically we had plans, and ever since I was in undergrad, I was like, this is our plan, this is what we're doing, and then it didn't happen. And
I think we tried 1 year, didn't work. We tried the next year, which was last year, didn't work.
Other
again.
Situations,
And then we tried this year. So third time's
the charm.
Third time is the charm, yeah.
Truly.
Which is funny to look back at, because now in hindsight's
2020. That should be the title of our episode.
That's going to be the title of
Hindsight is 2020.
Episode. Yep. It's funny that it seemed 2 years ago seemed so kind of close, but in the time I remember feeling like I was almost drowning, like, oh my gosh, like I want to move. I have this like eagerness to get out of here and to move by you. But just me forcing the situation was just not getting anything done. And then this year when, we've planned it all, we were taking the steps long before, and we did take the proper steps. Everything just fell into place very naturally.
I wouldn't say all things fell into place naturally.
Well, yeah, but I mean,
it's definitely hard work.
Yeah, right.
It definitely took a lot of planning and
yeah. But I think our preparedness made our transition a lot
we were
easier.
just like, we're so ready. Like let's
exactly.
go like right now. So that was kind of a long-winded introduction to my whole life story. But basically, I wanted to change. It was after my father passed away, and I was just kind of like, I want to change. Like I don't want to be here anymore. Not
right.
because of not my family or my friends, but it was kind of like, I want a change of scenery. Like I've lived in California my entire life. Like I want to change. I want something different. I want to experience something different. I'm going to go back to that teenage me that was like, I want to live in Massachusetts. And so I applied to graduate schools in Massachusetts, and I got into one, and I said to John, I was like, hey, I got accepted to this graduate school. It's starting in August next year, because I deferred. It was my whole timeline is all messed up. But I was just like, do you want to come with me? And he was like, yeah, absolutely. And that's also John being one of the people that just goes with the flow. Like you are just so not high maintenance and not high strung. Like I don't know how to describe it, which I think is why we work well together, because we really do balance each other out. Because I used to be high strung, and I still am in some situations, but I used to be much more like uptight, like this is this way because of this, and it has to go this way or everything will go wrong. And that was kind of a combination of a lot of things that were going on in my life. But we've just kind of, we've balanced each other out, because sometimes
Absolutely.
John is to go with the flow, and he's like, yeah, just go where the river takes me. And I'm like, no. Like,
yeah,
we need some structure. So we balance each other out. And
very much so.
I was like, have you ever been to the East Coast? And
I came out to the East Coast in 8th grade for like our like school trip. Way older. This was obviously like what would have been like 10 years ago. Yeah,
12.
10 years ago. 8th grade?
Yeah, aren't you 13 in 8th grade? I'm 13 in 8th grade.
So then however old you are.
More than a decade was what we'll say. Are you counting on your fingers?
13, 14.
Yeah. Well, you probably turned 14 in 8th grade.
Right. So whatever. 13, 14.
Yeah, we're like doing the math for like 2 minutes.
I know. I mean, so what? 11 years ago, it would have. I just wasn't able to appreciate it as much. I know we went to New York, we went to Washington D.C., and I really don't remember much. I remember going to like the Vietnam War Memorial.
Yeah. Did you go to the Holocaust Museum too, in D.C.?
Not in D.C., but we went to the one in Los Angeles.
Yeah,
that one was gnarly, but that was in high school. But from that trip also, I remember going to the Statue of Liberty, taking the ferry out to there.
Yep.
And I remember walking by where you take the bus or the ferry to the Statue of Liberty. But in reality, that was like my tiny little experience with the East Coast. So, and I can safely say no, I don't really have too much experience until now.
And, I don't want it. It was a big ask. I was just like, pick up everything that you own and leave all your family and do something crazy with me. Like, I realize now, I think at the time, just because of everything that was going on, I was just like, this is fine. It's fine. Like, just move, But it is a lot. And we did move far away and we don't have any family close by. It's just sometimes when I think about what we did and how we drove, like it's crazy. So, we started at my house. So you drove down from Northern California to Southern California. And we flew here in June and we're trying to sign the lease because we were having the absolute hardest time finding a place. I just think that in California, maybe because rent is or real estate is just so scarce and there's a whole business out of real estate and a lot of property management companies. Like, you can just go into any building and just be like, hey, can I have an application? And they're like, yeah, sure. Like, there you go. But I think here, and maybe because we're not, in Boston or New York or like a huge major city like that, but it definitely was a lot slower. And I think that because of the real estate market here, that people can just afford houses and not renting,
Also, COVID too.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
That definitely made processes a little bit slower.
Yeah,
because I know, and mostly for like tours.
Exactly, because they were like, you can't apply here until you've toured it. And they're like, but we're not doing tours. So it's like, wait, what?
Or you have to like schedule a tour and it has to be in advance.
Exactly. And it's like, well, we're already here and we're only here for this amount of time and we need to do this like tomorrow, Yeah.
So, I mean, in that week, we were house hunting, or I guess apartment hunting. And, we happened to
like called people every day.
Yeah,
we were calling real estate agents. Yeah.
And we happened to happened to come across the place that we're at today.
Well, I already put in an application for this place.
Right.
But they ignored us.
Right.
Remember that?
I do.
Yeah. I hope they're not watching. Well, if they are, I don't know why I'm saying that because it's true. They ignored us. Until I followed up again and was like, hello? So we signed the lease like end of June, maybe. And so we're like, oh, July 1st. So, we set out, like we wanted to come here to find a place, but I don't think that we were anticipating like moving right in like 2 weeks.
No, we weren't. I think we had not a low expectation,
plan, but it went wrong.
Yeah.
But it didn't go the way we wanted to. So,
absolutely. Well, in a way it kind of did. It ended up, I think we thought that it wasn't going to work out, but it all did come around. So when we first came out, we made you had made contact. You had, they ignored us. And then when we contacted them again, and
which
the agent
I made
wasn't
it much
saying,
more clear. I was like, we're ready to sign a lease like right now.
Right.
And they were like, oh, okay, here's the paperwork.
And the agent was saying like, oh, we have all these people looking at this place trying to drive it up like there's competition.
Exactly. He was like, oh, I have 7 people already scheduled to come look at this. And I'm like, really?
That was all malarkey.
Why has it been on the market for 3 months then?
Exactly. So we were able to come check out the place. I think we stuck it to the guy immediately and we were like, cool, yep, works out, let's move in. What's the process? Let's do it.
Yeah,
come on. So
once we
got that
fire.
ball rolling, it like all eventually rolled out. And this was like, we had 2 days? No, we had 3 days left in our trip. And it was like 3 days left. We got the place. We had talked to the agent. The next day, we
got approval from the landlord.
We got approval. We sent in tons of paperwork. And I think we signed, or we got the paperwork, or we got everything to sign the lease, like our contract and everything. Yeah. We did sign it that day.
Yeah. No, literally, she emailed out and we're like, okay. Here's a signature.
Yeah, we signed it pretty. I mean, we
read
over
it
with your
just
mom
in case, but
and we signed it. And then the next day, we had to go make our deposit.
Yeah, our cashier's check.
Mm-hmm.
So annoying, because my bank charges us $10 for our cashier's check.
Right.
But
so then, yeah, we make our deposit. And then I think by the end of that day, or was it the day when we got back?
We left the next day.
Yeah, we left the next morning.
We left our deposit and we left the next morning.
Right. Because we left it off at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Right. So then we found out once we got back, I believe.
Found out what?
That we had secured the place. Like they got our deposit and everything.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Because like we were just, because of coronavirus, like their offices weren't open. Because usually you would go into a leasing office and like sit face to face with somebody and sign your lease and give them, everything. And, you had to do everything via email or via phone. Like I think I called the property manager and she called me back probably like 7 times within like 2 days just to call me and be like, hey, we need this. Or like, hey, this is how the key exchange works. And this is blah, 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 and you need to drop it off here and everything. So we fly back. We are just kind of like, ooh, okay, well, we started our lease July 1st. So like, what's the situation going to be? Like, it was kind of, when I first envisioned us moving out here, which was 2019. Yeah. So next year, I really wanted to make like a big trip out of everything. Like I wanted to spend like a month like driving. I wanted to go to Zion. I wanted to stay in Utah and like do all this stuff and drive in Colorado and stay in Colorado and go like whitewater rafting. And then it was coronavirus. So basically John drove down to my house. Then we drove to Vegas and stopped at Raising Cane's because obviously. And John's never been to Vegas. So again, with Corona, the whole story is going to be, this episode is going to be titled Hindsight Is 2020 and Because of Corona or something like that. And coronavirus ruins everything. Yeah. So we drove through the strip so you could see the strip. And it was like a ghost town. Like I've never seen Vegas that empty.
We did drive through it like midday too though.
Yeah, but Vegas is packed like all the time.
True. Okay.
And we got Raising Cane's and then we stopped, in St. George when we were driving to Utah, which we actually went through California, Nevada, Arizona, then Utah. So we went through 4 states in one day. And I remember us being so worried because it was, COVID times. And I was like, are they going to stop us and be like, why, like with these California license plates when we're in Utah and Nevada, they're going to be like, what are you guys doing here? Like no travel, but obviously nobody cared. Which it's October now and still nobody cares. But we stopped at, random places where you could like the scenic, what are they called? Scenic views?
Scenic views.
Scenic areas where you could just stop and a lot of people stop, pull over. So that we left July 2nd. And then we got to St. George.
We got to St. George. That was a hot drive. Going from Los Angeles to St. George. John has no AC in his car. And did I tell him to get it fixed before we drove in the middle of the summer? Yes, I did. But did he? No. Exactly. But it was pretty nice. It was like a little sauna in there for myself.
Yeah, no. Yep, sure.
I was sweating out all the Raising Cane's.
Oh my God, I love Raising Cane's. So we stop at St. George. It's my birthday, July 3rd. And so we do a little birthday hike in St. George. We get up at like 5 a.m. because it's going to be 80 degrees at 7.
Yeah.
And St. George is dry. It's
very dry.
Like there's no like trees either. So when we're hiking, it's all rocks. There's no shade. So it gets hot. And we
beautiful red rock.
Yeah, it was a beautiful hike. I loved St. George. I would definitely go back there. I loved Utah in general.
Utah is beautiful.
So then from St. George, we drove to Grand Junction, which was like 5 hours or something.
It was our shorter drive.
Yeah, I made it. I went to AAA and I got a triptych. Highly recommend. And I made it so that none of our drives would be more than 9 hours, just
Which
because
is
that's me personally.
Blessing.
Exactly. Because I've talked to other people who, like Courtney, who drove from California to Texas a couple times, and it's maybe like 18 hours or something. I don't remember. But the drive from California to Massachusetts is 39 hours or something like that. Either way, it's more than a day. And we drove in 2 separate cars because we both have cars, and this city doesn't necessarily have a great like public transportation system. Like if we were moving to New York City, like we wouldn't have brought our cars. Like we would have flown everything. But we drove both our cars and we followed each other the whole time. So we got to Grand Junction. We stayed with my aunt.
Yep, your aunt was very nice to take us in.
She was so welcoming. We went to the Colorado National Monument, which was amazing. Everyone
really
should
liked,
go there.
Yes. Colorado, what is it? Colorado National Monument?
Yep.
There was also the Grand Mesa was right there. And then
what else did we do?
Book Cliffs.
Yes.
I forgot if it's like the Book Cliff Mountains, but I'm sure if you look up Book Cliffs Colorado, you'd see it. So Grand Junction, it was beautiful. One side you have the Book Cliffs, the other side you have the Grand Mesa, and then on the other side you have the Colorado National Monument.
Yeah.
And it was beautiful weather too.
We loved Colorado. I think we both were
gorgeous.
Like, okay, we could live in Colorado, because I think it's very outdoorsy. Like if you love hiking and you love skiing, like Colorado, because you have everything. You have all 4 seasons. There are fires, but whatever. And then we spent the 4th of July. We had a nice barbecue, nice whole family barbecue. You got to meet some of my family, which I haven't seen in a while.
Yeah, everyone was so nice. Your aunt and your uncle were so nice to have us. And actually, my Uncle Steve gave this fossil to us. Yeah, so her Uncle Steve and I went to go get a beer. And when we went into the garage, I saw that he had all these rocks. And I asked him, I was like, hey, what's up with these rocks? So what he does is that he actually collects rocks with fossil imprints on them. So this would actually be a leaf imprint from however long ago, but it's from all the pressure, it's been carbon print onto the rock.
Yeah.
So he gave this to us as our first adornment for the house.
I know. I love it.
Yeah, and it's beautiful. I love it too. Probably from the camera you can't see, but it's very detailed. So that was something I really appreciated in a little trinket that we brought with us. Yeah.
And from there we drove to Denver, which I had never been to Colorado before, and it was nice to drive through because it was beautiful. We drove through Vail, Colorado, and just like all the cool places. Drove through Denver. And that was like a 4-hour drive. Like it was easy. And then
to Denver, yeah.
Yeah, and it was raining. We didn't really do much the next day, because the next day we drove from Denver to Omaha, Nebraska, baby. Right?
Yep.
And that was 8 hours of nothing.
Yeah, I will never forget, like, you always hear people say when you're in the Midwest, it just turns into cornfields. And I remember there being a distinct line when we left Colorado that all of a sudden the cornfields just started. And then when you look from side to side,
it's just corn.
And you're like, whoa, okay, we're definitely not in Colorado anymore.
Well, what's funny is because the way John and I would communicate is we would call each other on the phone because we were in separate cars, and we try to follow each other as best as possible. But, sometimes I got ahead, sometimes you got ahead, whatever.
I fell behind a lot.
Yeah, you did, because I'm a speed demon.
Yeah, and I had a lot more stuff in my car, so I drove a little bit slower. But, I mean, I think I called you or you called me.
No, you called me and you go, is there corn? Is this all corn on the sides? And I look and I'm like, yup. And you're like, that's what corn looks like? I'm like, yep, that is. Because my mom grew up in the Midwest, so I've been to the Midwest most of my life. So we drove to Omaha, and what we didn't know but now we know, is there is something called a Frenchie, which is a deep fried grilled cheese.
Yeah.
An Omaha specialty that was like the most like heavy, greasy. Oof. You know, I saw it and I was hungry because we just did like an 8.5 hour day, and I was like, whatever, like just get me whatever. Because again, it was Corona, so some restaurants were closed. Or we got there kind of late too. We got there like late 8 p.m. or something.
Yeah, there was one restaurant that had good ratings, but they closed like 2 hours early.
I know. We're like, oh no. So we call this one place that's like, I don't know, American food or whatever.
Yeah,
and
it was
you're like, hey, can I place an order? And she's like, yeah, but you can also go through the drive-thru. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do. And I was like, oh, okay, cool.
My bad. So it was what, like onion rings, burgers, like just American food.
Yeah.
So we got the Frenchie, and it was too much. Do not get a Frenchie if you are not like fully prepared to eat your weight in oil and grease. It was disgusting in a good way.
It was heavy, and you have to have it like hot.
Yeah.
Like literally right out of the fryer.
Right out of the deep fryer.
Right out of the deep fryer, because it was almost like it was a great idea, but
it was a good idea in practice, or it was a good idea in an idea. Wait, what?
It was a good idea in practice, yeah.
You knew what I meant. And then from Nebraska, we went to Gary, Indiana, which is where my mom's from.
Yeah.
And my mom flew there and met up with us. And
How long? That was like an 8-hour drive, I think.
It was another 8-hour drive, yeah.
Yeah.
Which, because we drove through Iowa and then Illinois and then Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
In Iowa, there was more corn. Illinois, there was more life to it.
Yeah, I know. I think that's when I realized that we were in Illinois, because you could see it like the break and then city.
Well, you know what was funny was that there was a dispensary, because marijuana is legal in Illinois now, and like there was a dispensary like right on the state border.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, wow, okay, people definitely come here from Iowa just to get marijuana and then leave. But we drove through Illinois, then we went to Indiana. We went through a lot of toll roads. Then we got to Indiana, and we stayed there for a few days, like 3 or 4 days, just because it was more than halfway, and I was like, I know I'm gonna want a break, like from driving 4 or 5 days. So we stayed, with my aunt. My mom flew in. She got to hang out with her sister.
That was a really fun time.
Yeah.
That was a really fun time.
John got to see like actual Midwest life, like drive-in restaurants and just the Midwest charm and the beaches from the Lake Michigan. And we got to see where my mom grew up, and we drove by her house and her high school and stuff.
Was super
and it
cool.
was really fun.
It was really, really interesting to see where your mom grew up, and just that area, a really blue collar area, or what used
lots
to be
steel mills.
Mm-hmm. At least there's 2 in the area. Yeah. Her dad used to work at the mill.
Yeah.
I think everybody used to work at that mill, so it was cool to see like that old style blue collar kind of town in Indiana.
Well, and I think that
now
there's
it's different.
But I still think that there's like still a disconnect where it's like the East Coast, West Coast, like all this technology, the latest things, and it kind of takes a while to get to the Midwest. So things are a lot slower there. Mm-hmm. And again, that's Gary. It's not like, I know Minneapolis and Chicago and Madison, like they all are technology heavy, but some of the places in the Midwest still got that Midwest charm. And then from Indiana, we went to Buffalo, New York. And again, that was like 7.5 hours.
I'd like to go back to Indiana real quick.
Okay.
That drive-in that we went to was amazing.
Yeah.
And I'd also like to say I was at first appalled by the humidity, but I quickly realized that it was going to be the exact same once we got to Massachusetts. So
if not worse.
I learned my lesson.
Well, and you got to see lightning bugs for the first time, which was cool.
Oh, that's also what I wanted to bring up. Lightning bugs was probably the most amazing thing to come across, because I have never seen one on the West Coast.
Yeah, they don't exist.
Yeah,
on the West
and
Coast.
I never would have even imagined myself even ending up in Indiana. So it was
Why would you?
It was
No offense to people
like
living in Indiana.
magical to see it. You always see it in like commercials and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But to actually see a lightning bug and to catch one was so cool.
Yeah.
And like their butts light up. Like, how cool is that?
I know. And you catch them in jars too, and you
Mhm.
watch them light up. Yeah, it's, apart from all the mosquitoes in the Midwest, there are
Lots of
lightning
buggies,
bugs, but it's really fun. There's a charm about the Midwest, and maybe that's
There was
just
a charm.
because I've been there like every summer since I was little, and my mom's from there, and she has good memories there. But I love the Midwest. I definitely think
really enjoyed
people
it.
should go and just experience a different part of America because it's different.
I enjoyed it, but I think Western Massachusetts is actually an even better fit for me personally because
Really?
I like the slow pace of the Midwest and Western Massachusetts, but there's more life out here, it seems like. There's more, it's greener, it's more lush with trees. The Midwest, not that it wasn't lush, but there's like
flat.
a certain dryness and a flatness to it.
Yeah, it's flat.
So again,
sorry, we're going. This is a long podcast.
this is a long one.
Thanks for everybody listening. If you don't, I see that you guys only listen to 5 minutes and then stop watching the video.
TJ.
So we drove from Indiana to Buffalo, New York.
Right.
And again, we didn't really do much there. I think we just, because it was 7.5 hours, so
Mhm.
we were just like, whatever, like, cool. We almost went like detoured to Niagara Falls, but I think that's for another time. Like because now that we live here now, but I think in our mind, like we had been driving for 5 days. I think we had 7 or 6 driving days. I was just like, I just want to get there. Like I want to like put my stuff somewhere. Like I'm tired of driving with all my stuff in my car. Like I think we were just anxious and
Definitely anxious.
you know,
And we were so close.
we're so close.
I felt like once we got to Buffalo, like
well, because we're one state away.
Exactly. We were only one state away, and it felt like the prize was within our like grasp.
I know. So we drove through Buffalo. It was beautiful. I mean, I love upstate New York. I think upstate New York is beautiful, and we, just looking and
Very green and lush.
very
too.
green. And one thing I love about the East Coast is that it's so rich in history because this is literally and of course there are indigenous populations that live here. And I should educate myself more on that. But also, like, when people from across the pond came from England and they all settled here and started building, like, it's just so rich in what we consider the United States of America. There's just all the stuff here.
Everything is old.
That's true.
The more east you go, everything is just older and older.
Well, especially in Massachusetts, in Plymouth, that's like the first settlers
Pretty
came to
crazy.
Plymouth, Massachusetts.
I was talking to one of my coworkers the other day, and like Salem is only an hour away from us too.
Yeah.
Because we were talking about what we were not debating, but we were wondering if Salem does something for Halloween.
They do. It's a huge thing for Halloween. But
I bet. Because that's the original place for the
where
for
they
the witch,
burn the people at the stake.
Yeah, for the witch hunts.
Yes.
So like, I mean, it's funny that that's right there. And in Springfield, what I first looked up, because I remember I don't know what I expected of Springfield. When we first got here, it kind of amazed me that it would, like, downtown Springfield was an actual city. I don't know what I was really expecting, but what I learned
California boy speaking right there.
Yeah, what I learned when I did my research about the town is that Springfield was a pivotal point in the Civil War and was actually a town where they smithed rifles for the Civil War, which would, in turn be the Springfield rifle. So that amazed me immediately. And I think Buffalo, where we stayed, felt new because it was just like malls.
It was a big building too.
Yeah.
It was a nice
hotels, car dealerships like right around there. So I don't know about Buffalo exactly.
It wasn't like
we didn't do too much.
Buffalo.
No.
Again, when I first wanted to drive out here, I had this whole plan. I was like, we're going to spend a couple days in each city. Like, we're going to explore. I love America. Blah, blah, blah. That didn't happen. But I think where we stayed, and again, because we were on a budget, it was a whole thing. Like, it was just kind of thrown at us, and it was a dog with like a bone. It was like, go get it. We were like, okay. Right. So we kind of stayed at Best Westerns, Holiday Inns, whatever. Not necessarily. They were like, oh, it's in downtown Buffalo. And then you look and there's a car dealership and a McDonald's. You're like, wow, this is downtown Buffalo. And maybe it is. But, we eventually made it to our destination. We, settled in. We were just kind of like, okay, this is it. It's crunch time. I got here, a month-ish before school, like a month and a half before school. Yeah. Because I knew for myself, I was like, I need to settle. Like, I need time to, like, get adjusted to this new environment. We need to buy our mattress because our mattress didn't even come. Like, I ordered our mattress, like, 2.5 weeks in advance, and they're like, it'll get there, like, 2 days after you guys arrive. I'm like, dang it. So, we need to get our mattress. We need to get our desks. We need to get plates. Like,
we had to, like, furnish our whole apartment.
Exactly. And we still don't have that much furniture.
No, but you know what?
It's just us two.
Yeah.
And nobody's coming over because of Corona. So
yeah, that's true. It feels so much more like home now.
Yeah.
Maybe because we've been here for a while and now we've like put our touch on everything, but it feels a lot more like home now here. Again, we don't have too much stuff, but we have our
everything
desks.
is courtesy of Walmart.
Yep. We have our desks. We have our
futon.
Our
Craigslist coffee table.
Yep. Coffee table.
Our
bed
$5
frame,
chairs from Walmart.
Chairs. Kitchen table. All that stuff
from Walmart. This video is not
Walmart.
Sponsored by Walmart, even though if you did sponsor me, I would say yes. Everything in this room is from Walmart, almost.
Yeah, just about. I mean, a lot of it pretty much is.
Yeah.
So, it was nice to put our touch on it once we got here, once we settled. And it was nice having your mom here, too, as well. She helped us out a lot. And I think she was definitely not our saving grace, but our guide to what we should get and our priority to what we get to.
I know. I just remember being like, ooh, I want a decorative pillow. And she's like, you don't even have a bed frame yet. I'm like, I know, but the pillow for the bed frame. And she's like, you don't even know. Like, she's like, are you doing all wood? Are you doing gray wood? Are you doing regular wood? Are you doing black wood? And I was like, I don't know. And she's like, well, you can't buy a decorative pillow if you don't know.
Yep.
So thanks, Mom.
Yeah. What was our process? So we left Buffalo. We got over to Western Mass to our apartment around, I think it was like midday.
Like 1 or something?
Yeah, around midday. And, we walk in, we do our house tour videos, and then I think we immediately went to the Walmart.
All right, let's go to Walmart.
Yep, because there's a Walmart nearby.
We got food.
We cleaned. We
got these chairs, I think.
We got we made ourselves dinner, and I think we started kind of like
we unpacked
piecing everything together. Yep. Started unpacking a little bit. And when I think about it back then, it doesn't seem like we're like in the same place still. Because now we've like put our touch on everything again. But that was when the process started. And then
every day I went to Walmart every single because if you know and you've ever moved to a new place or, you know, go to a friend's house or whatever, especially when you start from scratch, like you just go in the cabinet because the cleaning supplies are there, and then you're like, oh wait, we don't have any cleaning supplies kind of thing, or like, oh wait, where's the toilet paper? Like, well, we bought toilet paper, but you know what I mean? Like you go to look for things. Like I remember when I was baking something and I was like, dang it, I don't have baking soda, because my mom is always a person to always have baking soda and flour. And I just remember looking and I was like, dang it, we don't have any of that. So it was a lot of like kind of building up our base, getting spices and stuff. And
it's a nice
cleaning supplies, Swiffers.
It's vacuums. A nice transition into adulthood, I think, for us, because it's like now we're having to, what our process is and is going to be for a while is, you know, when we have the necessity for something, that's when we're going to go buy it. Maybe we don't think of it, you know, right there in the moment, but when that scenario comes up and we need it, that's when we'll go get it. And then that's when we'll realize, okay, shoot, we're always going to need this. Like even I remember one for me that was huge was trays for baking.
Oh yeah, I know, we forgot about that. We're like, let's make something. Oh wait, we have nothing to bake it on. Salmon, we were trying to make salmon, and we're like, what do we put this on? When
I wanted to do when we went apple picking and I wanted to do all those apple recipes or desserts,
I know,
I had to go and buy all these big trays to bake in because we didn't have anything, and I always just relied on my mom having all the baking supplies.
Yeah, I know. It's just it's definitely weird in your adulthood to kind of figure out like, oh, things cost money and I don't have everything at my disposal. Like every time I go to Walmart, and it's always things I need, like I always spend like $100 at Walmart because, well, actually Walmart's dangerous because they have literally everything. Yeah. So I just, you know, walk down the aisles and I'm like, oh yeah, like we need cough syrup and like cold and flu medicine, you know, because my mom always has it, or Band-Aids. Like my mom always has Band-Aids.
Yep.
We didn't have any Band-Aids. Anyways, this podcast has been sponsored by me losing my mind and becoming an adult. And with that being said, this podcast went on much longer than I think we both anticipated.
Yeah.
But it's our podcast and there are no rules.
Exactly.
You can listen, you cannot. I appreciate if you do, but
yeah, we're gonna put out whatever you're gonna put out, so everyone can just, you know, deal with it.
Deal with it.
Deal with it. Gosh. So to quickly wrap up, you know, where was your favorite place on our drive, and what do you think of our new home in Western Massachusetts?
My favorite place was Colorado, Grand Junction. Mm-hmm. And I love it. It snowed recently and it was the most magical thing ever.
It did.
I'm excited for this new chapter, and we're here for 3 years.
Yep.
So if we hate it and we end up hating the snow, then we move back. But for now, this is brought to you from our apartment in Massachusetts.
Yep. And we're loving it.
We're
definitely loving it.
I think you're loving it more than me, and I'm glad because I was worried you were going to hate it. But you love it.
I've really enjoyed it. For me, honestly, I would also agree that Colorado was absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, we definitely have to explore, like, when we have time and it's not COVID times, like to actually explore Colorado and like do things instead of just being confined to our house and people fighting each other for stuff at the grocery store.
Colorado just seemed really open and beautiful.
Yeah.
And it wasn't dry like the desert, but it wasn't, you know, lush trees everywhere. It was like this, I don't know, it was its own thing, and it was amazing. So I agree. I really like Colorado, and I am really liking Western Massachusetts. I didn't know what I was gonna, you know, come in and what to expect, but I definitely have thoroughly enjoyed it. I enjoy the slow pace of life over here. There's no traffic.
And the gas prices.
Gas prices are amazing.
Yeah.
I only paid like $28 to fill up my tank.
Yeah, I paid like
completely the other
$18
day.
to fill up my tank.
It was wonderful. And yeah, I mean, there's so much you can do around here.
Yeah.
The ocean is not too far. We've gone to the ocean together. We went recently.
We went apple picking.
We went apple
so
picking.
New England of us.
That was awesome. We, there's a skate park that's nearby that I love to go to. I'm starting to meet everybody, which is cool.
We're
disc
settling
golfing
in.
is nice. Yeah.
We're settling in.
I think we're definitely settling in. You know what we haven't done, though, is we haven't done a lot of hikes.
Yeah, but now the weather's kind of not that great
It's
for
cold.
it. But yeah, it's freezing, as you can see by my heated blanket. What is my watch? It's 36 degrees outside.
Yeah. It's going to heat up this week to 60 degrees.
So warm.
Which is going to be like
nice weather. We're
nice
be like, wow,
weather for us.
It's so warm.
Yeah, 60, 65-ish kind of highs later this week. And we're probably going to be, in shorts and T-shirts and living it up because it's been so cold and windy recently.
Yeah, and snowing.
Yeah. Overall, I think we're both enjoying it over here. And I think we're both excited to live our new chapter in the snow.
Proposed to.
And we're also we're excited for my best friends to move in downstairs
God. No, if you guys even made it that far, I'm sorry, you're not allowed. Like literally you're not allowed. Please. I'm begging you. With that being said, I'm out. Thank you for episode 5, right? 5?
Yeah, this is number 5.
Okay, we'll see you on episode 6.
Thank you everyone for listening, and if you made it this far, we appreciate it. See you soon, TJ and Chris.
You were